can interpret this scripture. But another way that we can interpret this scripture is to say that people fall into three categories in their relationship with God: hot, cold, or lukewarm. Say those three words with me: hot, cold, or lukewarm. And we're going to use that as our premise today. And it's pretty easy to see that this is true. All you have to do is look at the world around you. Now, when Jesus refers to us as being hot, what does he mean? Of course, he is speaking metaphorically, but he's also speaking in a very culturally relevant way. Think about it. The world certainly understands this language. The world certainly understands this type of expression. You know, Elvis sang about a hunk of burning love. And Bruce Springsteen sang, oh, I'm on fire. About that good right there. And Linda Ronstadt sang about a tropical heat wave, you know, burning me up. And of course, all these songs are about a passionate experience or a passionate relationship with someone. And we use this same language. We use this same type of expression in the praise and worship choruses that we sing right here at Crosspoint. This morning we sang Sit in the Fire. We sang Lord, Light the Fire Again. And we sang Refiner's Fire. All of these songs are about being in a passionate, growing, thriving relationship with God. In 2 Thessalonians 1:3, it says this: your faith, your relationship with Jesus Christ, is growing more and more. That's what's supposed to happen in our life as believers. It's passionate, growing, and thriving. It's hot. And the love that every one of you has for each other is increasing. Paul was saying to the Thessalonians, hey, you're doing well in your spiritual lives because you're on fire for God. You're hot for God. So I think it's pretty clear what Jesus is referring to here when he talks about being hot. He says that spiritually we are growing and thriving, and we are passionate about the things of God. When we're hot, our love for God and for one another is growing more and more, and we are drawn to and interested in the things of God. Here's a thermometer test for you in your spiritual lives. Are you more in love with God today than you were yesterday? Are you more in love with people today than you were yesterday? If you can't answer yes to both of those questions, then you're probably not hot in your relationship with God. One of the greatest things about brand new Christians is that they are hot for God. They are on fire for God. And it's so inspiring to be around them. I love having conversations with some of our new Christians here at Crosspoint because they're passionate about their relationship with God. They're growing, they're thriving, and you can sense it and you can feel it when you talk to them. So church, let me ask you this question this morning. Are you growing in your relationship with God? Is it thriving? Is it passionate? Are you on fire? Are you on fire for Jesus? Jesus said, I'd rather you be hot or cold. So the first category of people is hot. The second category within this premise, I would define cold as those who do not know Christ yet. Those who are cold would be defined as those who do not know Christ yet. But the good news about being cold is that Jesus said that being cold is not as bad a place to be in as being lukewarm. Because being cold is like being a match that just hasn't been lit yet. Because in a moment of time, you can begin a personal relationship and know God in a personal way. In John 7:28, Jesus said, he who sent me is true, but you do not know God because you haven't yet embraced what is true. But I know him because I am from him and he sent me. Maybe you're here this morning, and if you were honest, you'd say, you know what, Harv, I really don't know God in a personal way like that. If that's where you're at, then I have good news for you. Because Jesus says, hey, my first choice is that you would be hot. You know, in a growing, passionate, relationship with me. But my second choice would be for you to be cold, because you're like a match that just needs to be lit. You just need to respond to me. So our second category are people that are cold, people who do not know Christ yet. And our third category is lukewarm. And again, Jesus said, man, I hope you're not lukewarm. Anything but lukewarm. I would define lukewarm as those who are drifting, those who are just headed wherever in their spiritual lives, those who have just become complacent in their relationship with Christ. Remember, everybody ends up somewhere in their relationship with God, but few people end up somewhere on purpose in their relationship with God. Hebrews 2:1 puts it this way. It says, we must pay careful attention, therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not, what? Drift away. Let's say that verse together, because it's so important. We must pay careful attention, therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. On our past summer vacation, Edith and I and the girls spent a week at the beach. It's one of our favorite things to do. And every day we spent time in the ocean. And one of the things that we had never done on a vacation before was we had these blow-up rafts that you take and blow up, and you just kind of fill them up with air, and we would just go float in the ocean. Now, when we would start right in front of our big umbrella there, and we would start next to our cooler and our blankets and our towels. And when we would get in the water, we would start right there. But then, as we would just kind of, float on the rafts, inevitably, we would just kind of drift, And the more time we spent on the raft, the ocean would just take us wherever the ocean wanted to take us. And then 2 or 3 hours later, we would get out and we would be, running for shore because we needed sunscreen bad. We were burnt. And we would say, where's our stuff? And then we would look like 300 or 400 yards down, and we'd go, there it is. See that little speck? There it is right there. And every day when we would get out of the water, we would say, I can't believe how far we drifted. I can't believe how far the ocean just pulled us and took us wherever it wanted to take us. Church, this very same thing tends to happen in our spiritual lives. And if we're honest with ourselves today, some of us would have to admit that we have drifted from God. If we were honest, some of us would have to say, wow, I used to be so close to God. I used to be in a growing, intimate relationship with Him, but I've drifted away. I've become lukewarm. I used to be hot. I used to be on fire, but today I'm lukewarm. You see, it's so true. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is not a vision for our relationship with God, we drift away and we become lukewarm. My favorite line in the skit is when Tammy said, great relationships don't happen by accident. Great relationships don't just happen by accident. But everyone ends up somewhere with God. But few people end up somewhere on purpose with God. So the big question for us today is, how do I discover God's plan, God's dream, God's vision, God's Chazown for my relationship with Him? We do that by asking ourselves a couple of questions. The first question we need to ask ourselves is this: what disciplines best help me experience God? Say that with me. What disciplines best help me experience God? And we're going to be talking about this question in our life groups. And I just want you to know that our life group Wednesday night over in choir was great, and I've heard great comments about the other life groups. So I want to encourage you to get involved with a life group. Grab one of these today. It's a life development plan. We will have one of these for you each Sunday. Get involved.